Hey everybody, this is Sam from Out of the Armchair podcast. Came to you today to talk to you guys about free speech. But before we get started, if you like what you hear here today, then click that subscribe button below there, or come to our Facebook page, which is Out of the Armchair podcast, and click the like button. Join the community and keep up with the conversation. Earlier, I think it was last week, I alluded to the fact that I was going to go have a conversation with my friend Brian. 3 hours north of here up by Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we went up there, had a great meal. I mean, they have a beautiful home. Thanks again, Jen and Brian, for inviting us. I mean, as always, a wonderful, wonderful time. Unfortunately, when we tried to record the conversation, we had a bunch of audio difficulties. So we didn't really get any good footage. So we're going to try to attempt that again at a later date. But during that time, Calvin, our co-host here at Out of the Armchair, recorded a video while he was out driving his truck. Yes, he's a truck driver, so try to fit that in your stereotype. But he hit on a lot of really great points, so we wanted to put this video out to share that with you. So without further ado, I'll give you Calvin's video. Here you go.
Well, hello everyone. It's Calvin from Out of the Armchair podcast, coming to you live from my big rig. I am a truck driver. I'm up in a little town called New Ulm in Minnesota. I'm delivering a load of about 6,000 gallons of cream to a plant up here. I'm not even sure what they make here. Maybe it's cheese or ice cream, I don't remember. So I wanted to talk to you about Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I'll be home this weekend. Family Thanksgiving is Sunday. And I've been thinking about Thanksgiving and free speech. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Sam had posted on the page a few thoughts about free speech the other day. It led to some interesting conversations, and it's gotten me doing a whole lot of thinking. So I just thought I'd give you some raw thoughts real quick. The first thought is that Thanksgiving is a celebration of free speech. And you're going to say, well, what are you talking about, Cal? Thanksgiving is a celebration of the Pilgrims getting through their first winter and their first harvest, and that's all true. But the reason they came here was so that they could express themselves without being put in prison. It's because of censorship. That's why they came here. In their case, it was religious and political, probably more religious than anything, but it was censorship nonetheless. And that's gotten me doing a lot of thinking. Our country was founded on the idea of freedom of speech, and a lot of people right now are not happy with it. They want to change it. And I think that's a really bad idea, and here's why. People often say, well, if we have freedom of speech, we have to defend the Nazis, or blah, blah, blah. And I think that's a terrible argument. I think it's a powerful argument. I think it has a lot of pathos, but I think it's a terrible argument. Here's why. Freedom of speech is what freed the slaves. Do you think the first abolitionists were popular? Think again. Freedom of speech gave us gay rights. You think the first gay rights protesters were popular? The homophile movement in the 50s? I doubt it. But they had a First Amendment right. Do you think that the trans movement is popular in all quarters today? I can guarantee they're not. And what freedom of speech allows us to do is it allows us to go out and test ideas and figure out what the best ones are. We're watching that happen in real time right now with, for example, the trans movement. They've got some ideas that are really good, like everyone should be accepted regardless of who they are, and they have some ideas that I disagree with. And the gay rights movement tested a lot of different ideas and finally figured out how to present their message. And in the early 90s, they got that message out, and it succeeded. And it's kind of an evolutionary process sometimes for this to happen. And freedom of speech allows us to do that, and everyone benefits because over time, freedom of speech has given us freedom to live as we wish. It's torn down so many kinds of discrimination. Not that we don't have a long ways to go, we do. And that's why we need freedom of speech. Now, here's the thing. Do you think that the Church of England thought that they were doing the wrong thing when they were censoring the Pilgrims? No, they thought they were doing the right thing. So people are like, well, we can't let bad ideas spread. Well, the Church of England thought that they were keeping bad ideas from spreading too, but they weren't. They were persecuting people. How do you know if the ideas that you want to suppress are good ideas or bad ideas? And somebody could say, well, obviously I know that Nazism is a bad idea. Fair enough. But, most ideas are more subtle than that. And I think it's important to be able to discuss things. Here's the other thing. How arrogant is it to think that you know all of the truth and you know which ideas are good and bad? And also, how arrogant is it to think that you not only know what the good ideas are, but have a right to tell your fellow man which ideas he can and can't think, or she can and can't think? Who are you discriminating against? Which civil rights movement in the future are you suppressing? You don't know. If you're for censorship, you don't know. I know that I haven't thought of all the good ideas. That's one of the exciting things about being even on the most amateur level a thinker. And I'm clearly an amateur. I'm sitting in a truck here. It's about as humble of a position as you can be. And the exciting thing is reading new ideas, discovering new ideas, thinking through new ideas, having friends you can discuss dangerous ideas with. That's exciting. And we learn from these, and we grow from these, and we become better at figuring out more civil rights and more good things, making society better. So it's a navigation problem. How do you navigate towards a better society unless you have some way of knowing which direction is better and which is worse? That's what free speech is. It gives us a way of navigating towards the better and away from the worse. And sometimes that's by hearing an idea and saying, yep, that's due south, I'm going north. So that will wrap it up for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Out of the Armchair. Subscribe, give us a like, comment, continue the conversation. And even though I'm not perfect, be civil, people. Be nice to each other out there. We need more conversations and more people being nice, and I know a few times, even in the last week, I haven't been. But I'm trying to become better at it, and that's all we can all do. So let's be thankful, let's eat lots of turkey, let's enjoy our free speech, and let's be nice to each other. Peace out, everyone.
Okay, so I think Calvin makes a lot of really great points there. And they're all open for discussion, obviously. This is why we do this, so we can have open discussions. I did want to point out one thing, the transgender argument, right? I say there's a lot of environmental and biological issues and factors that have to go into play in this discussion. But, without these discussions, we can never understand, let alone what is the good ideas about transgenderism and the bad ideas about transgenderism, but rather how to integrate the good ones. Like, we missed that opportunity to learn how to integrate the good ideas about transgenderism and its coexistence in our society. And I guess I'm using transgender because it's one of the most important topics going on right now. And a lot of people have a lot of different feelings. There's a lot of mixed emotions there, generally throughout our entire civilization. So, I mean, and the other thing I would raise is, who gets to decide what is allowed to be spoken as spoken word? Like, who gets to filter our conversations if we decide to move our society in that direction, right? Like, who would you want to be in charge of filtering what you can say about things or what topics you can discuss? And I don't think there's a really good answer to that question. I think the best answer that me and Calvin came across was our friend Aaron. He said, well, if you take a group of intellectuals, individuals, and put them together and say, okay, well, these are some of the smartest people that we know about, right? But even there, you're going to find constraints. They're going to find biases there. So I don't think that that's a really good answer, but it is the best one that we have yet. So I'm not saying I agree with that at all, but because I don't. But if we can expand this discussion on free speech and how you see what hate speech is, right? And in no way have I ever said, let's platform bad ideas, let's platform hate speech. No, what I'm saying is if discussions can't happen, just like with the transgender movement and any other subculture in our society, if we can't discuss the ideas in these subcultures, how do we decide what's poisonous about them? How do we decide what's good and how to implement those good ideas into our society so we can have a general sense of coexistence, right? And while maintaining our freedoms all at the same time. So I'm going to leave the discussion point there, and I hope you guys can come up with some really great ways to approach this problem. Maybe you have some ideas that we haven't thought about yet, whether they're pushing back against ours or agreeing with ours. Please post them because any opportunity to learn is always welcomed here. Okay, so again, if you like what you see here today, go to our YouTube channel, click subscribe, because without subscribers, it's hard to keep something like this going. Also, check out our Facebook page, and thanks, Calvin, for the wonderful footage you took the time to take while you were working. Again, hope you guys have a great day. This is Sam from Out of the Armchair Podcast, and I will see you later. Bye.